You know it's this. Take a perk and a talk of this shit. Money swallowed like sis. Did it perfect in the kid. Got a billion who sang on my head. Look me better. Pull out the robo I just spit. I know we got $1 million. The devil that shit ain't not cheaper again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the first part of What If Naruto Enters Witch? Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of pyrohelixdrago, co-written with KFB Anime 87 on fanfiction.net. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. Relief was what Naruto felt as he had successfully defeated all the pains and protected his village. Even the many lives that were lost were now returned, all because of his former enemy now sibling student Nagato, bearer of the Rasengan. I can't thank you enough, Nagato. Naruto said in full gratitude towards the former redhead as his hair had now turned a ghostly white. Naruto, can I ask you something? Nagato asked in a raspy voice, looking at Naruto with complete seriousness. Anything. What is it? Naruto answered quickly, seeing the dire state Nagato was in. Do you believe your village will ever truly accept you for who you are? Nagato asked in full seriousness, knowing full well the treatment of a Jinchuriki and knew it was next to impossible to ever be truly acknowledged while being one. Naruto was shocked by the man's question and thought back on his life, remembering the beatings and solitude he suffered throughout his life. Even with the few people that have accepted him, he was still alone. Even as he got older he could still see the fear and worry in people's eyes when they saw him. No. I don't think they'll ever accept me for who I am, but where am I supposed to go? Wherever I go, all I will ever be seen as is a monster. Naruto said, casting his head down in sadness. What if I could send you somewhere where no one would know who you are or even what a Jinchuriki is? It would be a fresh start for you. Nagato explained to Naruto as the blonde gave him a look of confusion. Where would that be? Naruto asked in both confusion and wonder about where Nagato was talking about. It's a place called Meridian, it's in another dimension. My father was from Meridian before he came here and met my mother, who like yourself was an Uzumaki. Nagato explained, getting a look of disbelief from the blonde Uzumaki. Wait, you're an Uzumaki? Are we related in some way? Naruto asked, both confused and curious about having a living family member he could have made a connection to. Maybe we are cousins in some way, but I can't be too sure. As far as I'm aware, my mother had no living family, but all Uzumaki that are still alive are related by some distant ancestor. Nagato explained, actually giving some thought to how close the BLD relation between him and Naruto was. Okay, how do I get to Meridian? I can't exactly cross dimensions. Naruto said, seeing the smirk on Nagato's face. With the last of my power, I can open up a portal that will breach through the veil so you will be transported to somewhere in Meridian, but I will need your help. Nagato explained to Naruto as he looked somewhat confused. Okay. How do I help you? Naruto asked, ready to help his fellow Uzumaki, who was giving him a second chance at life. First, we need to join hands and combine our chakra. Nagato explained. Naruto did as instructed. They both held hands and closed their eyes to concentrate, and a few moments later, a blue portal suddenly appeared looking like it cut through the very fabric of reality itself. Whoa, we did it, Nagato. Naruto said, amazed by the portal. Yes. Now, Naruto, before you go, I would like to say goodbye and give one parting gift. Nagato said, placing both of his hands over Naruto's eyes and focused his chakra into them, causing Naruto to feel a moment of dizziness. Whoa! What was that? Naruto asked, overcoming his sudden dizziness. It was my gift to you. Now go, Naruto. The portal won't stay open forever. Nagato said, not wanting his sibling student to miss his opportunity. Right. Goodbye, Nagato, Naruto said before jumping straight into the portal as it closed not a moment later. You do know, after using such taxing jutsu, you'll die, don't you? Conan asked, finally saying something after all has been said and done. I would have died anyway with how my body is anyway. I might as well do one good thing for Naruto so he could have a better life. Nagato explained to his longtime friend as his eyes got heavy. Yes, but at least you would have died peacefully. Conan said, getting Nagato to let out a weak laugh, making her look at him strangely. Conan, in this world there is no true peace, and the only real chance of that was Naruto, and now that he's gone, the chance for peace is as well. Nagato said, starting to fade away, but not before sending one final glance towards his longtime friend, who was shedding tears as he finally died. With Naruto inside the portal between the elemental nations and Meridian. Naruto was currently inside an empty space, lying down on the ground a little dazed as two figures began to approach him. Hello, Naruto. A familiar voice rang through Naruto's ears. He looked up and saw the fourth Hokage, aka the Yellow Flash, or less commonly known, Naruto's father, alongside a appealing red-headed woman, who wore a green dress. Dad. Naruto said, seeing his father once again, even after the brief meeting they had earlier during his fight with Pain. Hello, Naruto. The appealing redhead spoke to him with a truly caring and honest smile. Who are you? Naruto asked, not really knowing who the woman in front of him is. The woman's eyes were now saddened that the blonde didn't know who she was, but kept her smile and got an idea. Well, Naruto, how about you guess who I am? Naruto looked at the woman very carefully, trying to figure out how she knew him and what the connection was between them, until he had a sudden realization of who the woman might be. Mom. Naruto said, getting the woman to smile and suddenly hug him with tears coming down her face, and after Naruto's shock began to wear off, he hugged the woman back with his own tears traveling down his face. You know, I have always wanted to meet you, Mom. You know, you really are my child. Kushina said, wiping away her tears as she smiled brightly at her child. 15 minutes of explaining and crying. Well, Naruto, we would like to give you something before you go to this new land called Meridian. Kushina said, looking towards Minato, who nodded and brought out 3 scrolls. Naruto, your mother and I have put something special in each of these scrolls just for you. The first has multiple copies of my jacket and yours from when you fought Pain. The second has me and your mother's knowledge and notes on FUNN Jitsu or sealing. And the third one has the knowledge to my signature technique, the flying Raijin, but you'll have to practice to get a good grasp on it. Minato explained to his son, who had a gobsmacked expression upon being bestowed the most powerful information the elemental nations have ever known, but was snapped out of his shock as his mother stepped right in front of him. Naruto, I want you to close your eyes for a moment. Kushina said as she did the same and rested her head against Naruto's, and suddenly a golden light enveloped both of them, and as it died down, Naruto felt like something had been awakened from deep inside his body and looked at his mother, who was giving him a smile. Before you ask, Naruto, I just gave you my gift. And it'll come to you in your time of need, and when you use it, it'll be hard to master, but I believe you'll be able to do it. Kushina said, not really telling Naruto what she gave him. Suddenly, both his parents began to become transparent, meaning they were almost out of time, making this the last time he'll ever see them. Well, I guess this is goodbye. Naruto said with a sad smile on his face. Yes, it is, but Naruto, I just want you to know there is no possible way to say how immensely proud I am of you, and I am in awe of the man you've become. Minato said, crying with an honest-to-God smile as he hugged his son. Naruto, I want you to know the day you were born was the happiest day of both mine or your father's lives, and when we died, leaving you all alone was the hardest, most difficult thing me or your father ever had to do. We love you so much. Kushina said, crying as she joined in on the hug, and as the parents started to fade, Naruto could feel himself continue on his journey to Meridian. Lord Cedric was a very happy humanoid snake as he had captured the rebel leader and was surely to be rewarded by Prince Phobos. Caleb was in a sour mood for being caught and restrained by Phobos knights, but he was happy after so long. The Guardians have returned. They may be the next generation, but that was better than nothing, and with their help the rebellion will finally be able to take back Meridian. Suddenly a blue light had appeared in the distance. Assuming it was a portal, Cedric went to scout it out, and when he got to the location of the light it was indeed a portal, but closed as soon as he got there. When he looked around he saw a blonde male in his teens wearing strange clothing which consisted of a red jacket with black flames and black writing, and underneath was a black sweatshirt with orange on the lower sides of his chest and orange pants with bandages and a thin pouch around his right leg, and wearing black sandal-like shoes. "You boy, what happened to the portal?" Cedric yelled in his hissy voice, approaching the boy and about to grab him, but was surprised to see the blonde had dodged him by jumping out of the way. "Who are you, boy?" Cedric asked, curious to who the boy was, as he noticed the boy didn't look like any Meridian he had seen before, as he looked human but had blonde spiky hair, blue eyes and whisker marks on his cheeks. "Naruto Namikaze, and what the hell are you?" he said, looking at the creature who appeared to be half human and half snake, something similar to what Orochimaru might have wanted. "I am Lord Cedric and I would like to know how the portal closed and where you are from, boy," he said, wanting to gather information before he took the boy prisoner. "Well, the portal just closed on its own, and where I'm from, well, you could say I'm not from around here," Naruto said with his goofy grin while scratching the back of his head, while the man-snake glared at him with interest, as this human was from Earth, and could be used for intel or maybe even help find the princess. "Well, now that you have told us all you know, guard, seize him," Cedric yelled, and strange-looking warriors in armor tried to rush him, but as he got into a battle stance he blew a powerful stream of air from his fist, causing the guards to be blown away and for Cedric to look at the child in shock and amazement. From power he wielded over air and saw this as an opportunity for the prince to be able to gain even more power from this strange child. "What the hell?" Naruto thought, looking at his fist in shock, as it had just fired a powerful wind like the jutsu great breakthrough. What he didn't understand is how he did it, as he didn't make any hand signs, yet he somehow still did the jutsu. Caleb just saw some kid blow away dozens of soldiers and saw this as an opportunity to both help the kid and help the rebellion, because if this kid joined the rebellion it would have a real edge over Phobos. So he sent a look to Naruto, who instantly knew what Caleb was thinking, so Naruto ran and punched the guard that was holding Caleb and ran with him, making Cedric snap out of his shock. "After them, you fools!" he yelled, causing the knights to run after the two. "Hey, thanks for the save, Caleb said to Naruto as they ran. "No problem, those guys look like they were up to no good, so if I don't like them and they don't like you, I think we'll get along just fine," Naruto said, getting Caleb to smirk, and as they ran. "By the way, name's Naruto said as they finally got a good distance away from Cedric and the knights. They decided to hide in a nearby cave. "Alright, I think we lost them, man. How did you do that?" Caleb asked, referring to the blast of wind Naruto fired. "To tell you the truth, I don't know how I did that myself," Naruto said, still not understanding how he used a jutsu without hand signs. Sure, he used the rasengan, but doing a jutsu that required hand signs without them was something he never even heard of before. "Well, even if you can't do it again, do you want to join the rebellion?" Caleb asked seriously, as every soldier mattered when facing the large army Phobos had. "Sure," Naruto replied, instantly shocking Caleb at how fast the blonde answered, knowing they would be facing mortal danger or even certain death, but he respected him for it all the same. "Okay, listen carefully, there's this cupboard that leads to a city that goes in all directions. If Caleb would have finished if Naruto didn't tackle him, preventing a large green tail from slamming into him. "Knights, seize them!" Cedric yelled, making the dozens of knights he had behind him charge and rush both Naruto and Caleb. They both tried to run and evade the knights, but with the small size of the cave made it difficult to outmaneuver them. "Okay, enough of this," Naruto said, relying on pure instinct, formed a single-handed rasengan, smashing it into the ground, destroying the cave and sending Caleb, Cedric and the knights flying from the force of the attack. And after the dust settled, he saw the vast amount of damage his rasengan created. "Whoa, I can use the rasengan without a clone," Naruto thought out loud, very happy he could do his signature move like a master. During his excitement he didn't seem to notice a few rocks started to move and showed a green scaly claw-like hand clench into a fist. Then very suddenly a very angry Cedric erupted from the ground, showing he had a vast amount of injuries that consisted of cuts and bruises. "You annoying little pest, how dare you do this to me? I shall make your death as painful as possible," Cedric yelled in pure rage, wanting to tear the blonde limb from limb. "Bring it on, I'll turn your butt into a leather belt," Naruto said, fully prepared to take on the hybrid snake creature. Cedric wasted no time charging to strike Naruto, but as he got closer he noticed that the blonde didn't seem to be moving, but he did see him taking out a scroll, and as he unraveled it he bit his thumb and wiped his BLD across the scroll, and when he did, a giant black shuriken appeared from thin air right into his right hand and suddenly spun around, sending the shuriken straight toward Cedric. Cedric barely had any time to react to the fast deadly projectile and was barely able to dodge it, as it had given him a deep gash along his torso, making him scream out a monstrous roar. Even though he was badly wounded, he was able to compose himself into using his claw to slash Naruto's chest, giving him 4 deep cuts which bled profusely as he fell to the ground, clutching his gash in order to stop the bleeding. "Damn it, I let him get too close," Naruto thought as his vision started to blur from all the fighting he's been doing and all the BLD he's lost, but not before he noticed a large number of soldiers began to surround him. As he looked around he saw Cedric sporting a vicious grin while holding his side to put pressure on the wound he'd given him. "If you surrender now I might spare you," Cedric offered, but Naruto knew the snake monster was lying through his teeth, but with his current injuries he isn't able to outrun the soldiers, an oversized monster snake, so his only real option was to stand and fight. "DMN, there's no way I can take on all these guys, but I can't give up no matter what. I won't give up, not now, not ever," Naruto declared loudly while barely being able to stand. As the knights drew closer and as they surrounded him, Naruto's body began to tremble. He then started clutching his head and immediately closed his eyes as his brain felt like it was on fire, and as his eyes shot open they were revealed to be 2 completely blue eyes. The whole of each eye was in a ripple pattern with a single dot at the center which looked to be the pupil. "I've had enough," Naruto said angrily, and as he said that a blast of power seemed to expand and go in all directions as if an invisible barrier of air was sending all the soldiers and Cedric flying away. After the dust settled, Naruto looked at the destruction he caused. Naruto recognized this type of damage and realized he had used Nagato's signature technique, but didn't understand how he could do it until he walked past a small puddle of water, and when he looked at it he saw his reflection and noticed he didn't have his old regular blue eyes. Instead he had a set of blue Rinnegan eyes and jumped back in shock and surprise. "Whoa, okay, didn't expect that, but no time to worry now. If I remember right, Caleb said there's a way to someplace called the Infinite City. I'll have to find it, then treat my wounds. He should be there by the time I get there," Naruto thought, prioritizing what needs to be done in order to stay alive. And while he walks away from the battlefield he didn't seem to notice and Caleb unconscious lying in some rubble. 1 hour later. "DMN it, Caleb, if it was this hard to find this DMN city I would have made you draw me a DMN map," Naruto thought as he limped down a flight of stairs bleeding profusely through his wounds, and as he reached the bottom he falls on the floor, slowly slipping into unconsciousness. But before he does he sees a robed figure approaching him, extending their hand out toward him as he finally blacked out. "The Meridian Palace." "Report," came the loud voice of Prince Phobos, a man who wore mostly black with slight violet highlights. "We have obtained the rebel leader, but I was ambushed at the portal by the guardians," Cedric said, coming from behind a pillar. His badly wounded body was clearly visible to the prince, and as the snake man transformed into a man with golden blonde hair wearing a priest-like outfit he bowed before the prince. "And they did this to you?" Maybe the guardians are a bigger threat than I thought. Those old women may still have some fight left in them," Phobos thought out loud, seeing how this may cause future problems. "No, my lord, they did not, and it appears that the guardians are now young girls," Cedric said, anger flowing through his voice, not noticing the prince's surprised expression. "So the crystal has passed on to a new generation. This could complicate the search for my sister. Finding her is essential for me to maintain my power over Meridian," Phobos said, then picking up on something. "Wait, Cedric, if the guardians didn't give you all those wounds, how did you receive them?" Phobos asked, not really concerned for his health but more towards what could do this to his most fearsome warrior. Lord Cedric growled as he had to tell his ruler of the defeat he suffered, and as he did the prince grew both intrigued and worried. Cedric, are you positive a child could wield such power and that he didn't possess a magical object? He is not of royal blood, meaning he shouldn't be able to do what he did and still be alive. He has nothing to draw power from. Phobos said, curious to how this was possible, seeing as he and his long-lost sister are the only ones able to draw strength from meridian and others draw strength from magical objects, and since he did not possess one, the blonde Cedric described should be dead for all the power he used, but no body was recovered. Cedric, I want you to gather up search parties and make wanted posters for the boy to be brought back alive. Phobos said, causing Cedric to look at the prince curiously, but followed his orders nonetheless. Inside the infinite city. Oh my head, Naruto said, opening his eyes seeing a waterfall in an enclosed room. Okay, where am I? He said, looking around and saw a huge staircase on the other side of the room. As he got up he winced a little, still feeling the pain from his chest wounds, but as he looked at them he noticed he had been treated, but by who he didn't know. He walked up to the waterfall to get a drink and hydrate himself, but as he did he saw a shadow take form behind the waterfall and jumped back, taking out a kunai in order to prepare himself for a possible fight. Greetings child, please lower your weapon, you are safe here, I am the one who treated your wounds, came a raspy voice of the figure who came out of the waterfall wearing a full-body black robe, and when the figure took off their hood it revealed a woman with pale skin and strange markings, a set of red lips and finally two completely green eyes with neon green irises. Who are you exactly? Naruto asked, wanting to know the person who saved his life. I go by different names, the ancient one or the mage are acceptable to me, she said, getting a nod from Naruto. Well, thank you for saving my life, Naruto said gratefully to the mage. You do not need to thank me child, in truth you would have lived even if I didn't help you as your wounds were already healing. Do you know how you were able to do this? The mage asked, very curious as to how this child was able to do that and why he seemed to have power radiate off of him like her mage ring did, but Naruto had a downcast look and placed his hand on his stomach. One explanation later about chakra. Well child, you can do something no one thought possible. You can use magic without a magical object or having a direct link to a world's power. Your chakra is something that is very similar to magic, but magic uses spiritual energy alone and can drain someone's life force if they are not using a magical object which acts as a power source. Your chakra, as you described, is a renewable source of power, but you only have so much, and when you have no chakra you die, she explained her conclusion she had when Naruto told her about his chakra. Well, that's good to know, but it doesn't explain how I can do jutsu without hand signs, Naruto said, making the oracle curious and asked that he show her his hand signs. Naruto did his signature hand sign for shadow clones, as this technique was purely chakra based and had no elements. He had made at least 30. With how small the room was it wouldn't be wise to go overboard. The oracle looked at the clones, examining them in wonder. She noticed they were all exact replicas of the blonde, which wasn't surprising, but what did catch her attention was the small amount of power each clone had. In further inspection they were solid, much like astral drops, but they appeared to be completely self-aware. This is truly impressive. You shall be a valuable asset to the rebellion, she said, knowing with the blonde's power he would turn the tables of this war. And to answer your earlier question, you must have fused both magic and chakra together somehow, meaning you're able to use your abilities much easier without the necessary requirements, she said, giving him her best guess. When I came to this world I must have either absorbed magic into my chakra or it awakened my own magic which then fused with my chakra, Naruto thought, trying to make his own assumption from the mage's deduction. Yeah, but I should be looking for my friend, he should have been here by now, Naruto said, heading towards the stairs. Who is this friend that you seek? The mage asked, knowing her power may be able to assist him. Caleb, Naruto answered quickly, which got the mage somewhat tense and somewhat worried. With the wave of her hand a picture of Caleb climbing up a wall and falling down in what appeared to be a well. He's inside Phobos's dungeon, you must save him, she said hastily in worry. Naruto nodded, not needing to be told twice, as he ran through the stairs, then heading in the direction of the palace. As Naruto left he didn't see the image of the mage shift temporarily into that of an old woman with long silver hair wearing a navy blue robe, but then reverted back to the mage. Be safe my son, the woman thought in a moment of kindness. Later on the palace walls. Okay, 2 guards on the far side of the palace, sneaking by them will be the easy part. Getting to the lower levels a different story, Naruto thought as he walked up the side of the castle, then snuck past the guards he mentioned. As he sneaked through the hallways he overheard some guards were talking some food to some prisoners. Seeing as he didn't have much to go on or had any other leads, he followed them thinking they might bring him to Caleb. As Naruto entered a room with cages hanging in the air, he saw what might have been the well Caleb was trapped in, and as he got closer he heard Caleb arguing with someone, so he jumped down and instantly regretted it. As soon as he got down he smelled something that smelled like rotten food or a dead corpse. Naruto turned around and saw Caleb, who had a smile on his face. Oh man, thank you. Did you find the Infinite City and get the other rebels to mount a rescue? Caleb asked, hopefully not wanting to be stuck in the smelly hole any longer. No, I made it to the city but didn't find any rebels, but I am here to rescue you, Naruto said as Caleb now had a downcast expression. How are you gonna get me out? We couldn't scale these walls, they're too big for us to even reach the top. Trust me, we've both tried, Caleb said, letting out a sign. Well, I can wait, Naruto was saying, but cut himself off wondering what Caleb meant. Caleb pointed behind himself, and when Naruto looked to where he was pointing he saw a little green creature that looked a little bit like a toad. As he got closer he knew this thing was the cause of the horrible smell down in the well. What is he? Naruto asked curiously, turning to Caleb hoping he would answer his question. He's appalling. They're smugglers and are commonly known for how bad they smell, Caleb explained. As they talked, Blunk inspected Naruto and saw a shiny blue necklace around Naruto's neck, and his nose was just telling him it was valuable. Trade rat for necklace, it good deal, yes? Blunk said, getting too close for Naruto's comfort. As they talked, a cage was being lowered, and as it came closer it stopped at the mid-section of the well, and when the bottom of the cage was suddenly opened, an appealing white 15-year-old girl with stunning brown eyes and short red hair, amazing curves and big C-cup-sized melons dropped through, and as she got closer to the ground Naruto caught her bridal style and gently placed her down. Thanks, the redhead said, blushing as saw how attractive the blonde was. No problem, my name's Naruto. Naruto introduced himself, not noticing the blush on the girl's face. I'm Will said, introducing herself to the blonde, who she found very attractive, and when she saw they weren't the only ones in the hole she noticed a familiar brunette. You're the guy from yesterday, Will said, recognizing Caleb from their brief encounter. You're not one of the guardians I saw. Where's your older sister? Caleb said, not wanting to believe the girl in front of him is a guardian. Wait, you're the rebel leader? Will asked incredulously. What are you rebelling against? Diaper rash, Will said, getting a chuckle out of Naruto and ticking Caleb off. Hey girly girl, I'm 17, never mind that, activate the crystal and fly us out of here, Caleb said, thinking she would transform and free them. I didn't exactly bring it, she said, feeling a little embarrassed while lowering her head. You didn't exactly bring it. Great, now we're stuck down here, Caleb said, sounding a little depressed as he dropped to the floor. No, we're not, I can get us out of here, Naruto said, which got the attention of the other 3 prisoners who looked at him weirdly. Yeah, how's that, Naruto? We can't climb out, me and the stink monkey tried, Caleb said while Blunk mumbled under his breath. Naruto didn't say anything as he walked to the wall, put his foot against it and started walking up the vertical wall while the others' jaws were hanging at seeing something that defied all logic. Looking back, so who wants to get out of here? Naruto said with a smirk. Few minutes later. I can't believe you, literally, walked up a wall. How'd you do that? Will asked, seeing what Naruto did as very cool and useful. Caleb and Blunk moved closer, hoping to uncover the secret. It's a technique. All you have to do is focus your magic in the sole of your feet so you can stick to walls, Naruto explained, not mentioning chakra as it would get him too many questions to answer. Will looked ecstatic at possibly learn such a neat trick, while Caleb and Blunk looked down because since neither knew or could use magic it wouldn't be possible for them to learn such a useful skill. Will, came the voices of 4 other girls running towards the red head. The first girl had tan skin and a great body with some nice curves. She also had short wavy auburn-colored hair and had blue eyes. She was wearing a short red tank top with a single strap on her left shoulder. It barely contained her above-average C-cup-sized melons. She was also wearing tight dark blue skinny jeans with red lines in the back. The jeans did show how nice and smooth her peach was. The second girl had dark skin and a skinny figure. She had short black hair that only went a little past her shoulders. She wore glasses over her amber-colored eyes and was wearing a louse orange shirt with yellow sleeves and a yellow tank top underneath which kind of hid her low D-cup-size melons. She also wore tight saggy light gray jeans which showed off her average-sized plump butt. The third girl had Caucasian skin and had a very well-built figure and long blonde hair that reached down to her waist. She also had gorgeous blue eyes. She was wearing a pink tank top that was attached to a pink metal ring wrapped around her neck and the top wrapped tightly around her average D-cup-sized melons, and wore blue skinny jeans that was very tight on her peach, showing how nice and supple it was. The fourth girl had pale skin, long black hair and a ponytail that reached her waist. She had a very skinny figure and black eyes that seemed to sparkle. She was also wearing a low-cut pink dress with long vertical yellow lines for each strap, but the dress didn't do much to cover her average C-cup-sized melon's nice peach and long silky legs. Guys, these are my friends Irma, Terane, Cornelia, and Hey Lin, Will said, introducing each one of the girls. Hi, I'm Naruto, and that's Caleb, Naruto said, introducing himself and his friend. The girl's thoughts. Would just look at those eyes. You could just get lost in them. Will thought, staring dreamily into his eyes while getting lost in them. Man, he's hot. I wonder if he's single. Irma thought, liking what she saw in the blonde. Wow, he's nice and looks so handsome. Terane thought, blushing shyly. Wow, just look at him, he's gorgeous. And just look at those muscles. Cornelia thought, already thinking of asking him out. Wow, just look at those whisker marks, he looks so cool. Hey Lin thought, looking at his muscular face. End of thoughts. Oh, Will here, Hey Lin said, handing over a necklace with a pink sphere to Will, who took it gratefully. Guardians unite. Will said, calling out. Then all the girls were enveloped in a pink light, revealing them to be dressed and looking completely different than before. Will's guardian outfit consists of a purple midriff-bearing CRP top with long poet sleeves that was tight around her now larger C-cup borderline low D-cup-sized melons with turquoise and green fairy wings, and a teal mini skirt that showed how nice and round her peach was with turquoise and green striped stockings and long purple boots that reached below her knees. Irma's guardian outfit consists of a teal slightly off-the-shoulder long sleeve top that showed of her now large C-cup-sized melons with turquoise and green fairy wings on her back, and a purple mini skirt that has a slit on each side which did nothing to hide her now even bigger peach, which was still nice and smooth. She also has a turquoise and green striped tights, and her shoes are ankle-high boots. Taranee's guardian outfit consists of a purple cropped top that did little to hide her now average D-cup-sized melons with turquoise and green wings on her back. She also wears tight teal shorts that seem a little small for her plump round peach, as it was over turquoise and green striped tights, high heel shoes, and her hair is now in 6 feathery braids. Cornelia's guardian outfit consists of a teal shoulder midriff top that didn't even bother to cover up her now average D-cup-sized BRST, and had long sleeves which form a triangle-like shaped across the back of her hand with turquoise and green wings on her back. She also had a very long purple skirt that has a slit at the left side which showed just a little bit of her round nice and supple peach, and covering it was turquoise and green striped tights and also knee-high high-heel purple boots. Hey Lin's guardian outfit consists of a small, teal, cropped top whose sleeves curls around her shoulders which was hugging tightly around her now large C-cup-sized melons, and a purple, knee-length skirt with slits at the sides, which hid her smooth peach but did nothing to hide her model-like legs with turquoise and green striped tights that only reached her knees. Naruto looked a little amazed at what just happened but discarded his shock as guards seemed to come rushing into the room. There's like a million holes in this place, how are we going to find a way out? Hey Lin said, causing everyone to think and come up with ideas while they prepared for a fight. We need to find a way out of here. Naruto said to no one in particular but noticed Blunk to jump up and down. Blunk knows tunnel's secret way out, Blunk said, wanting to be free from the prison. We make a break for it then. Naruto said, still injured and still untrained in his new abilities. He still got a nod from everyone. As they took off in the direction of the fleeing Pauling, and as they reached a tunnel, Cornelia used her power over plants to lock up the gate under a moat. Blunk picked up a box revealing a small way out, but it had 3 solid bars preventing them from going through it. Stand back, Terane said, taking charge, making her finger into a blowtorch. When Naruto saw this, he wondered if he could do the same thing and concentrated his chakra to his finger, and a second later he had a concentrated steady stream of fire coming out of it, so he bent down next to Terane and helped her in cutting through the bars. The girls minus Will and the guys were shocked at seeing this and looked to Will for answers. Listen, I don't know how, but he's able to use magic like us, but right now we gotta get out of here, so save the questions for later. Will said, wanting to get home before something even worse happens. Wait, hold on, I thought you could use wind not fire, Caleb stated in both curiosity and amazement. He has 2 elements, that's not fair. Lin said in a whiny voice that made it clear that she was jealous. As Terane and Naruto finished cutting the bars, they heard the sealed gates smash open, and Naruto heard a familiar sound of hissing and growling and knew he had to buy them time. Listen, me and Caleb are going to buy you guys some time to get out. We'll be right behind you, Naruto said, shocking the others. But why take him? He doesn't have magic, Will said, making Caleb feel a little insulted. You don't need magic to be a fighter, plus Caleb knows this castle may as well take someone who knows where they're going, Naruto said, getting a lot of respect in the eyes of the present company. As he and Caleb took off, they made it to the maze of passages. They split up, making it harder for them to be found while trying not to get caught, buying the guardians as much time as they could. Few minutes later, Caleb had just run through a passageway with Cedric hot on his tail as he made it to the edge of the abyss of torment. Looks like you have a choice, Rebel jumped and face an impending demise, or surrender and face unimaginable torment, Cedric said, not really caring which one the rebel took as he would die either way. Deciding to stand his ground, he faced Cedric. Come on, I'll make a purse out of ya. Where do you want the zipper on? Caleb said, ready for what was to come. Cedric growled in anger and smashed the ledge with his tail, sending Caleb falling, but before he could hit the ground a chain of Narutos grabbed him, and as they made an escape they ran into Will and Lin, so they flew them over the swamp, and as they approached a blue portal, Lin accidentally dropped Caleb, landing him on top of a monster with green hair, 1 red eye, and a different pair of arms and legs with a boulder on top of his head. As the guardians of water, air, earth, and fire took to the skies and attacked with their respected elements to try to imprison the gargoyle in a full-body cement prison, it broke free, and with that everyone headed towards the portal, not wanting to stick around and fight something that wouldn't stay down. As they made it through the portal, the gargoyle reached through with its left hand and grabbed Irma, who tried struggling as it was slowly pulling her back. Naruto quickly grabbed hold of her arm as Will sealed the portal, and as the hand that held Irma turned to stone and crumble, she fell forward, causing Naruto to fall back with Irma right on top of him, and as he was face to face with him, she quickly got up, sporting a light pink blush on her cheeks. Not a second later, the heart of Kandrakar turned them all back to normal. Can you believe what we just did? Cornelia said, her heart beating a mile a minute. That was so unreal. Talk about teamwork. Irma said, very excited. As Blunk looked around, he made a quick and clean getaway. What dangers are in this place? Caleb asked seriously, as he was cautious being in an unfamiliar environment. Well, there's the cafeteria. Food, Terane said jokingly. Later at the Silver Dragon. It was so crazy, we fought, we flew, and this slimo creepo thing escaped into the pipes, Irma exclaimed to Lin. You think he'll be okay in there? Lin said, expressing her concern. If he comes up under the girls' locker room, I'm switching schools, Terane said non-jokingly. Oh, look what I found out, an initial spell. Lin exclaimed, showing the word witch in purple letters written on her hand. The main thing is the bad guy didn't get our new best friend. Irma said, meaning every word, getting a hug from Will. Oh, Prince Phobos didn't want Will, Lin said as she poured tea while the guardians called out in confusion, only her power, I fear he wants another whose battle has yet to come, she continued as it began to rain. While Naruto and Caleb looked out the window looking at the rain, lightning struck, and for a brief moment Naruto saw the palace they all had just escaped. Ugh, can you tell me again why we're doing this? Caleb asking in a whiny voice while he took people's orders with a few hiccups along the way. Well, she needed help around the restaurant, so I'm helping in the kitchen and helping you with taking orders, Naruto said, bringing out a tray with 3 separate plates each with a different meal. Yeah, but why do this if we're not getting paid? Caleb said, not liking the fact that he had to do work for free. Correction, you're not getting paid. Me on the other hand, Naruto said, glad that he was able to get a job and help out the woman who was kindly letting him live here rent-free. Why are you getting paid and not me? Caleb asked, thinking that was a little unfair. Well, you use her printer, took a lot of her flashlights, you're eating food she cooked for you, and you've already broken 2 of her vases, which are very expensive, Naruto said, explaining everything to Caleb, who looked a little deflated at the sudden realization he had been basically getting off easy while taking a lot of materials from the old woman. While Caleb sulked, Naruto remembered the conversation he had with the old woman after everyone went home. Flashback to last night. Naruto was currently rooming with Caleb, who was acquiring supplies in the basement but got thirsty, and as he was getting water from the sink he smelt something that smelled like ramen cooking and saw it was Lin cooking the delicious smelling food. Earlier you asked me if we had ramen, and when I said no you looked heartbroken, so I went out so I could make you some, Lin said with a truly kind and warm smile as she gave him bowl of ramen. Naruto looked like he was about to cry as he ate the ramen with gusto, which shocked Lin, as she had never seen somebody eat so fast without chewing or needing to breathe. She was glad she made a whole pot and was the type of person to make a lot of food because the boy in front of her looked like he was a bottomless pit. Remembering the reason she wanted to talk to the blonde, she asked him why she felt so much power radiating off of him, and he told her the same thing he told the Ancient One, and it surprised her that this child could have such power and asked for him to show her. Naruto extended his hand up, formed a wind-style rasengan, which took the old woman by surprise, seeing him wield the element she previously had when she was a guardian. Are your abilities only something you can do? She asked in curiosity. As far as I can tell, magic and chakra are very similar. I may be able to teach it to others without the consequences of losing their life force, since if chakra is added when using magic it won't take its toll on someone's life force, Naruto said, while thinking everyone had both chakra and magic inside of them yet never truly accessed it themselves without the power of an object or proper training. Could you teach me? The old woman asked very curiously, thinking she might be able to use all her former abilities again. Normally Naruto would have said no, as a person's chakra coils are only accessible to learn to channel as an adolescent, but taking into account she could still use her former magical powers even if it drained her life force, she may be able to learn and wield chakra. I'm not entirely sure, but we can try to see if it's possible, he said, getting the old woman to smirk. Thank you, she said, getting a truly honest smile from the blonde. No problem, Granny, he said, surprising the old woman, but smiled happily knowing he called her that with respect and honesty. She saw them being close in the future, but not as close as her granddaughter wanted to be with the blonde, and who knows, he might actually be her grandson in the future if things played out that way. End of flashback. As Naruto was preparing some dumplings he saw Lin carrying some groceries, so he decided to go over and help her, but as he came over Lin slipped on some water, and as she closed her eyes expecting to hit her head but it never came, opening her eyes she saw Naruto tightly holding onto her. Blushing at the position they were in, she quickly composed herself and got out of Naruto's strong but gentle grasp. Thanks, she said, picking up the groceries she dropped while not looking directly at Naruto so he wouldn't see her blushing. It's no problem. You okay? He asked while picking up some of the groceries. Yeah, thanks for catching me, she said gratefully. Anytime, he said without realizing he sounded like he was flirting with her, causing Lin's face to turn a light shade of pink. Hey, enough lollygagging, we have customers to feed. Lin yelled, not wanting to keep her customers waiting for their food. Alright Granny, we're on it, he said, getting back to cooking as Lin looked somewhat confused why he was calling her grandma Granny. Since they weren't related, she decided she would ask later since there were a lot of orders to fill. Few hours later. The restaurant was nearing closing time, so Lin let the kids off since there were so little customers left. At a small table in the back, Lin and Naruto were talking, getting to know one another. They decided to tell each other a little about themselves. No way. Lin said in surprise as her eyes widened at what the blonde had just told her. Yep, I'm a ninja, Naruto said with a smile, seeing how excited the girl looked. That's so cool, show me some ninja tricks. Lin asked, hoping to see something cool. Naruto thought about it for a moment and thought of something that would be safe and harmless to do, so in a puff of smoke he suddenly switched places with Lin. Whoa, what was that? Lin asked in wonder and amazement. That was a substitution. You can use it to switch places with something nearby to take an attack for you, Naruto said, explaining the purpose of the technique. Oh man, you must have a bunch of amazing stories. Lin asked in wonder of what adventures Naruto had. Well, maybe I'll tell you about them sometime, he said, causing Lin to look a little downcast, but came up with an idea that might cheer her up. Hey, let's go to the basement, she said, pulling Naruto towards the basement and pulling out a big box of fabric and digging out an old sewing machine. What are you doing exactly? Naruto asked while she was starting to take his measurements. I'm making you some clothes. You can't go around dressed in the same cloths day after day, she said, and after 10 minutes of sewing she had finished an orange shirt with long black sleeves and a pair of dark blue jeans. When she handed them to him, he went to the basement bathroom and changed into the cloths Lin designed. Wow, these look amazing, Naruto said, getting a good feel for the cloths, but felt like something was missing, and suddenly it came to him, so he grabbed a piece of paper, started drawing on it and handed it to Lin, who looked impressed at his designs. After 20 minutes Lin finished Naruto's designs and showed an orange coat jacket with short sleeves, black flames at the bottom of it, and it also had Chinese symbols on the back that spelled Kitsune, and a combat jacket that had the same features as the first jacket. These turned out better than I hoped, thanks Lin, he said, causing said girl to blush at the praise Naruto was showing her. Lin, it's almost time for bed, you both have school tomorrow, Lin said as she peered her head through the door. Lin and Naruto looked at the woman in shock at what she said. Wait, what you mean, we have school tomorrow? Naruto asked, coming out of his shock. Well, since you'll be staying here longer than Caleb, I registered you up for school, Lin explained, getting questioning looks from the two teens as she walked down the basement stairs, leaving the door open. Wait, Grandma, how did you sign him up for school? He doesn't have any documents or even a green card, Lin asked, very curious how her grandma enrolled Naruto into school. I have many ways of accomplishing what I want, she said, mysteriously, getting weird looks from the two teens, but started to chuckle. I'm just kidding, I have connections to people who have access to public records and BRTH certificates. I have them. Say he was born here in Sheffield, Naruto Namikaze, age 16, born October 10th, she said, talking out a folder she hid inside her kimono and handing him the folder along with an I.D and a wallet. I don't know what to say, Naruto said, accepting the folder with a small happy smile. You don't need to say a thing, she said, leaving the blonde with her granddaughter. Well, I guess this is good night, she said to the blonde while she left, leaving him all alone. Never thought I would be happy to go to school, man. Irika-sensei would have a heart attack if he ever heard me say that, Naruto said, throwing himself on an old used-up bed. As Naruto slowly drifted into unconsciousness, his mind was being pulled into his seal. Inside the seal. Inside a dark sewer there was a cage, and behind it was a giant-sized fox with a vicious, angry look on it, having 9 long tails that looked like they could crush mountains. This was the tailed beast known as the nine-tailed fox. Hello, brat, the loud booming voice of Ninetails said to Naruto, who looked somewhat annoyed. What do you want, fuzzball? Naruto said, getting the fox to growl at him in anger. Look, you insignificant little runt, I should kill you for your disrespect. But I didn't bring you here to trade banter, the fox looking at Naruto with a serious look. Okay, what do you want? Naruto asked, wanting to know what the usually hostile fox would want to talk about. You have unlocked the Rinnegan, a Dijitsu which belonged to the Sage of the Six Paths, but yours is different as you have used jutsu without hand signs, and from what I can tell, as you traveled to this world you absorbed this magic into you and it merged with your chakra. But enough of that, you've brought us to a new universe and I wanted you to know I'm actually impressed. You finally left that worthless piece of CRP land you called home, the Ninetails said, making Naruto shut his eyes while tilting his head down, then suddenly looked at the fox with unwavering resolve. Listen here you giant dumb fox, you are the reason I left. I could never have a normal life, and with the Akatsuki after the both of us leaving seemed like the only real option, plus here I'm not seen as a monster, I have friends who don't look at me in fear, he yelled, which actually surprised the tailed beast, so unless you have anything important to say I'm out of here, he finished as he started to disappear from the fox's gaze. Next day at Sheffield Institute. Well, here you are Mr. Namikaze, your schedule now complete. Now I expect great things from you and we have zero tolerance for trouble, an elderly woman by the name of Knickerbocker told him while handing him a slip of paper. Thank you ma'am, Naruto said, leaving the office, reading his list and thought of who he would have with him in his classes. Math, Will and Hei Lin. Art, Hei Lin and Cornelia. History, Will, Irma, Terane, Hei Lin, and Cornelia. Lunch, Will, Irma, Terane, Hei Lin, and Cornelia. Chemistry/science, Will and Cornelia. Music, Alone. P, Will, Irma, and Terane. Class, settle down, we have a new student join us today, a slightly overweight blonde woman said as the class started to settle down and whisper about what the new kid might look like, or are they a he or she. Will and Hei Lin looked at one another thinking, no way. As the door opened it revealed Naruto in the outfit Hei Lin made him, with a smile directed towards Will and Hei Lin, who blushed at the kind and gentle smile they were receiving from the handsome blonde. Well, hello young man, my name is Mrs. Rudolph, would you kindly tell the class your name? The now named Mrs. Rudolph said as Naruto nodded. Hi, my name's Naruto Namikaze. Naruto introduced himself, getting weird looks from the class as they whispered to one another. Naruto, what kind of weird name is that? A boy with orange-red spiky hair that seemed to defy gravity said, getting glares from Mrs. Rudolph. Will and Hei Lin the first glared for the disrespect being shown to someone new and had zero tolerance for bullying. The last two were out of hate as they knew this was how the teen normally was, as he treated a lot of people like that, including them. Lay off Jiraiya, he's not even here a full minute and you already have to be a JRK. Will said very angrily as she hated bullies and Jiraiya was the worst, along with his little groupies Kurt and Clubber. Yeah, why should I, Wilma, he said, riling up the red head. Leave them alone Jiraiya. Why do you always have to be such a JRK? Hei Lin yelled, which surprised a few people as they have never seen the girl angry before. Oh, what are you going to do about it? Jiraiya said cockily, then suddenly his ear was being tugged by Mrs. Rudolph, who still looked angry and very displeased. Mr. Dunn, you have said quite enough. If you don't stop now I'll send you to the principal's office, do you understand? She said as the boy nodded as he rubbed his sore ear. Mr. Namikaze, I deeply apologize for such a rude welcome, please go take the seat between Hei Lin and Will, Mrs. Rudolph said, pointing to the empty seat between the two. 45 minutes later. I can't believe you have classes with all of us. And your schedule looks pretty good, you have some great classes, Hei Lin said excitingly as she read the blonde's schedule. I'm glad most my classes have some of you girls in them, they would be pretty boring without you, he said, getting both Hei Lin and Will to smile at the sincerity in his voice. Well, I'll see you guys later, I've got to go to my next class, Will said, waving goodbye as she ran to her next class while Hei Lin and Naruto went to art room a few minutes later. Hey Hei Lin, a cute girl with straw blonde hair, worn in braids, said, coming towards the Air Guardian and the Jinchuriki. She was wearing a baggy violet sweater with a black stripe through the middle slightly covering her C-cup-sized melons. She also had a purple skirt that covered her nice athletic peach and seemed tight around her hips, but seemed like it fit and it only reached above her knees. Hey Elian, I want you to meet my friend Naruto, he's new, Hei Lin said, introducing Naruto to one of her other friends. Hi, nice to meet you, Naruto said, extending his hand to the pretty girl who was blushing slightly as he was everything she wanted in her perfect guy, and as she took his hand she felt a jolt of electricity flow through her for a moment, then it passed like it was never there to begin with. It's nice to meet you, so do you like to draw? Elian asked, wanting to know what his style of drawing is or what type of art he was into. Well, I've never really drawn before, but I do admire art, Naruto said as he remembered when he saw all the paintings Sai had done and was really impressed by them. Well, we're going to be doing portraits today, hope you'll let me see yours when you're finished, Elian said, wanting to see if the blonde had any talent in one of her favorite activities/hobbies. A few minutes before the class ended. Both Lin and Elian were shocked at what they were looking at. The blonde had not only done a nice portrait of an appealing red-headed woman and a handsome blonde man, but he seemed to capture much emotion in the picture as it gave of the feeling of love and hope. Are you sure you never drawn before? Because this is a masterpiece. Elian said, still looking at the picture with shock. Yeah, Naruto, this picture is like really good. Lin said, wondering if she could ever draw something with this much feeling. Yeah, thanks guys, it means a lot, but yeah, this is my first time painting, Naruto said, rubbing the back of his head while smiling nervously. The bell rings and as the group of 3 leave they meet up with the other girls in history, but the teacher was out, so they just talked with one another, getting to know each other a little better. As Naruto and Will were still new, they were usually asked questions, but they still asked the others about each other and grew closer, forming a strong bond of friendship. Later, when the bell rang, they continued their conversation to the lunchroom while eating the crappy processed food that most schools served, and as time seemed to quickly go by as they talked, Naruto, Will, Cornelia, and Elian went to science, and when they arrived the teacher had given them an insect to dissect and remove their organs. Cornelia was paired with Elian, and since Will was new and the class had an even number when she showed up, Naruto was automatically partnered up with her. Naruto saw that Will didn't like having to dissect something, so he volunteered to do it, and even though he was a sage he had no problem doing this for her. And when the lesson was over and everyone had given their notes to the teacher, Naruto went to the class. He didn't have any of his friends in, but when he got there, he saw different types of instruments in a room with no one there, and as he walked in he saw an instrument that seemed to catch his eye. It was a black guitar with orange flame like designs, and as he picked it up he suddenly started to play some chords, relying on only instinct. He played it well for someone who never picked up a guitar before. Naruto after a while stopped, and as the chords ringing started to fade he heard clapping and saw he had an audience of a couple dozen people. Soon all of them started clapping, causing him to blush in embarrassment. Young man, what is your name? An old man who wore a professional red dress shirt and black dress pants, and even though he looked professional he looked like he was very lax. Naruto Namikaze sir, Naruto said, looking towards the man, wondering if he did something that may have upset the teacher. You young man have talent, you should try for the school band or the many bands that are forming outside of school, the man said, not wanting the blonde's talent to be wasted. A few people came up to the blonde wanting him to join their band, but the one that really caught his attention was Rec 55, because he could see they formed the band for their love of music and friendship. Later at the gym, the coach was out sick, so everyone could do whatever activity they wanted, so Naruto, Will, Terane, and Irma decided to do a 2-on-2 match of basketball. Naruto and Terane versus Will and Irma. Naruto and Terane were winning by a landslide, as Terane was a pro at basketball. Even though Naruto had trouble getting used to the sport, Terane made up for it as he usually passed the ball to her. Will and Irma put up a good game, but they couldn't keep up with Terane as she had the skills of a pro. Good game you guys, Naruto said, shaking Irma's and Will's hand to congratulate them on a good game. As everyone left the school and went their separate ways, Naruto walked Lin to the Silver Dragon and went through the alley to go through the kitchen in the back, and the moment they came in they were greeted by the head matriarch of Lin's family. She asked them how school was and wanted to know how Naruto enjoyed his day. She was a little mad that some punk made fun of his name, but put the anger aside and left the 2 teens to get some homework done, then help out in the restaurant. Shell Beach inside a cave. Naruto was in deep meditation, using the pose he had usually used to gather sage chakra. While he wasn't channeling sage chakra, he was focusing on channeling both his chakra and magic, as they were both within him. He thought he should at least try to get the basic understanding of magic, but even as he meditated his mind was distracted, as he still remembered the talk with the fox last night and was still dwelling on what he said. Flashback last night after Naruto's first day. Oh, come on again. What, don't you have something better to do than call me here? Naruto said to the giant fox, not liking that he brought him here so soon after just one day. Would you for once in your life shut up and listen, you hairless ape? The 9 Tails yelled, his voice booming in anger at the disrespect the child before him showed. Fine, what is it? Naruto said begrudgingly, not wanting the fox to keep calling him. You have the eyes of the Sage of 6 Paths, the predecessor of Ninshu or Ninjutsu as it is now called, but seeing you not even attempt to learn to use his eyes is a mockery to him and I won't stand for it," the fox yelled towards the blonde who looked at the fox curiously. "Well, I don't have a teacher, and last I checked the only people who had these eyes were the Sage of Six Paths and Nagato, both of whom are deceased, and what do you care?" "I'm doing fine so far," Naruto said, stubbornly looking away from the fox, who looked even more pissed and had a small unnoticeable look of sadness in his eyes at the mention of his deceased father. "You got lucky in using the almighty push and using your finger as a blowtorch. The only reason you were able to do that in the first place is because of your strong wind release and your dormant fire release, and since they are your natural elements and are increased by both the Rinnegan and my chakra, as we both share the same elements, it wouldn't be that much of a surprise you were able to wield them without any training with magic," the fox explained, causing Naruto to have a look of deep thought, and admitted to himself the fox was right. "Okay, so how do I practice with it?" "The only Rinnegan bearers to ever exist are dead and in our old world," Naruto said, getting the fox to close his eyes for a few moments and later look at the blonde. "I will teach you," the fox said, getting Naruto to look at him in shock for a few moments and busted out laughing like he had been told the best joke in the world. Then, after a while, he composed himself and noticed the fox was serious and returned with an equally serious look. "What do you get out of it?" Naruto questioned the fox, who raised his non-existent eyebrow. "What do you mean, what do I get out of it?" the fox asked curiously to what his jailer meant. "Ever since the day I met you, you wanted to break out, get me to release you, or just get me to kill everyone," Naruto said, listing all the things the fox tried to pull while inside the seal. The Nine-Tails was a little impressed at the boy's cautious behavior and deductive skills, since in any other scenario he would be likely doing all the things Naruto just listed, but quickly composed himself. "You normally would be right, but we are in a world where we don't know how things work, and as much as it pains me, we have to work together if you're going to fight in a war, your first war might I add," the fox explained as Naruto thought it over and nodded at the offer. The fox began to explain the steps for Naruto's elemental training. "For fire, find a bunch of leaves and use your chakra to set each one on fire. For lightning, get a light bulb and focus on putting power into it without making it explode from too much power. For water, get a bowl of water, put your hand inside and try to manipulate it so it can take form without it being disrupted, like when you trained in breaking genjutsu at the lake. Make it bend to your will. For earth, force your chakra into the ground, and as you mold it, bring it up to the surface so it can take shape. And finally, wind, you have mastered it already, but you have not yet learned to use it for any other type of wind jutsu. Wind can take many forms, like gusts, tornadoes, whirlwinds, and sometimes even thin high-pressure slashes," the fox said, finishing his explanation, getting Naruto to nod at him, taking in all the information of the different ways to manipulate and channel each element. End of flashback. Naruto was going to start working with the elements soon, but he still needed better control over his chakra and magic, seeing as he had poor control before, but now he believes he has some decent control over it. But the magic was a little difficult, and when he asked Yen Lin for some tips, she told him to seclude himself and feel the energy around him. But that explanation was almost exactly like the one for chakra, so when the Nine-Tails told him chakra and magic are very similar, so he would have a hard time separating them, since they merged together in his body, making him even stronger in terms of raw power. As he finished meditating, he performed the shadow clone jutsu and made 15 clones, which is pretty small for the usual number of clones he could make, but he was in a world that would easily panic at the sight of multiple look-alikes, so he kept the number of his clones minimal. He had 3 clones focus on each element, while he focused on using some of the Rinnegan's other abilities, which somewhat enhanced his own. Like how the Preta path, which absorbed ninjutsu, shortened his time for taking in Sage Jutsu chakra to 2 minutes, or how he used the Azura path to make his bones as tough as steel and increasing his physical strength when he hardened his skin/bones. It also seemed to allow him to produce his own shuriken and kunai. While Naruto was busy focusing on his training, he didn't seem to sense 5 familiar chakra/magic signatures walking towards the beach, with W.I.T.C.H just outside the beach. Why do we have to practice today? It's Saturday. Cornelia whined as she walked with everyone. Because we need to have better control of our powers so we can be prepared for whatever may come our way, answered Cornelia, but she basically repeated what Yen Lin had told her. Yeah, corny, who knows what other cool stuff we'll be able to do with our powers. Irma said excitingly while pissing off Cornelia, who hated being called corny. Forget about the powers, I'm still loving the fact that we can fly. Hey Lin said, still amazed at having the ability to fly. Why yeah, we just need to practice more so we can have better control over our powers, Terene said in both shyness and fear since she was still afraid of her element and got nods from the rest of the group who were still having problems with their elemental powers. Will had no problems as she didn't have an element, but the heart of Kandrakar sometimes had a mind of its own and did things on its own like floating around her room or tugging her. Irma made pipes burst sometimes when she doesn't even mean to do it. Terene sometimes accidentally shoots out fire when she's in a state of panic, like when she was in the kitchen the pilot light to the stove shot up when her brother surprised her. Cornelia sometimes had to personally cut most of the plants in her house as her powers made them all grow out of control. Hay was still causing massive burst of air to happen when she sneezed, and it was getting tough for her and her grandma to explain to her parents what happened to her room every time it got trashed. As they arrived at the beach and Will was about to transform them, they heard something happening inside the cave, so they went to investigate, and what they saw surprised them as they saw multiple groups of Narutos manipulating each one of their elements, causing the girls to stare at that group of clones. Will was purely focused on a group of clones who just seemed to have lightning dance around them like it was alive. Will wondered if she could do this since as far as she knew she didn't have an element like the other girls, so she wondered if her secret ability may have been lightning. Irma was looking at another group of clones who were all concentrating on keeping 3 basketball-sized spheres of water contained so they wouldn't drip and keep a solid form. This caught Irma's attention as she could easily manipulate water. She couldn't maintain a form for it when she tried. She could only create a bubbly distorted version of whatever she tried to create. Terene was looking at some clones who were just looking at a boulder, and each one appeared to be sweating as they concentrated heavily on it. Then suddenly it set itself ablaze. They weren't making fire like she did, they were doing it just by thinking, like a pyrokinetic that hadn't even crossed Terene's mind, thinking she could only make fire come out of her hands. Cornelia stared at a group of clones in awe as they were levitating small rocks and pebbles that seemed to orbit around them as they mediated, and small flowers seemed to bloom around them as if they were connecting with nature itself. Cornelia was amazed to see someone else use her element like that, as she had only manipulated plants and not really used earth itself. Hei Lin was amazed as each Naruto was doing something amazing with her element. On was creating what looked like a miniature tornado in his hands that just created a strong wind which she could feel. The second one seemed to be placing his hands on a very big boulder which suddenly split in half, and upon further inspection each side that was split seemed to have looked like the boulder was cut perfectly with a blade. And finally the third one could be seen levitating kunai and shuriken, then launching them faster than the eye could see, piercing the cave walls. Each of the girls were brought out of their individual as a shadow cast itself upon the girls' turn. They saw the real Naruto shirtless and head to toe covered in sweat that just seemed to gleam over his well-toned muscles. "Hey girls, what's up?" Naruto asked nonchalantly, not noticing the girls blush as they stared at his well-toned chest. Will seemed like she was the only one to come out of her daze. She looked at Naruto. "We came here to train with our powers, but we heard something inside the cave, so we went in to see what it was, and surprise surprise, we see you and an army of you. How is that possible?" Will said, explaining why they were here and expressing her confusion on why there were multiple versions of the blonde. Naruto briefly explained he could make multiple copies of himself and said each clone that dispelled would give him its knowledge and its experience it gained since the moment it was created. His explanation got jealous looks from the girls, since this would have been useful for them for homework and school, but not Terene, as she could only imagine the possibilities at reading and researching things with multiple copies of herself, then learning it all at once. Naruto suddenly got an idea and looked at each of the girls. "Hey, do you guys want to train with my clones? Maybe we could help each other," Naruto said, getting each of the girls to nod in agreement, as they could use all the help they could get with their individual powers, and they had no one else to teach them since they were in a world where magic was seen as a joke. Yen Lin could probably help Hei Lin, but she couldn't help the rest of them, so each girl went to the group of clones that were practicing with their element, and each group went over what they knew and could do while the girls did the same. Will sat with the lightning group, which confused them, but after she explained her idea they looked at each other. They decided they would help. 3 hours later. Everyone had just finished training and went their separate ways. When Naruto and Lin got to the silver dragon, Lin immediately put them to work. Later at night, Naruto was in deep thought of how his progress went with each element. With wind he had the most progress and could be considered a master. With fire he did good in, but he still had problems with, so he could be considered a novice. With lightning he was surprisingly good. He was even able to make a chidori, as he remembered when Kakashi-sensei told him the steps to it back when he was starting out as a ninja after the Chunin exams. With earth he was having a little difficulty, as when he used the element he could levitate stones and mold the ground beneath him to take shape. He tried a wall like his sensei did for the earth style, mud wall, but it crumbled as soon as it was made. With water was the most difficult. He could use water from nearby lakes, streams, and oceans, but couldn't make water out of thin air like the second Hokage or Irma. And to top it off, when he tried making a water style, water dragon, he just made a huge amount of water splash on himself and soaked the part of the beach the water didn't usually reach. But all in all he had a good first day of training. Thunder and lightning could be seen blasting in every direction around the palace of Prince Phobos, as if it was an omen for some future moment. Inside the palace. Inside the throne room, 3 of Phobos' servants stood before him claiming they found something. When Caleb escaped he was already mad that the blonde boy Cedric fought escaped, but to hear something was done that aided the rebel leader's escape was something he would not stand for. Prince Phobos, when the rebel leader Caleb escaped, we found these, Lord Cedric said, causing the well-built yellow warrior to raise up loose manacles, causing Phobos to narrow his eyes in suspicion. Either he picked the lock or he was given the only key, which is now suspiciously missing, the warrior said, looking at Vathek, who looked like he wanted anywhere else but here. Memory flashback canon. He obviously helped the rebel. He's a traitor, the warrior said angrily. No. I must have lost the key in the battle. Vathek said, hoping the prince would buy his bluff. How convenient, the warrior said with sarcasm laced inside his voice. If Vathek is telling the truth, the key is still here, search the castle. Phobos commanded, wanting proof before he passed judgment. Cedric begun his transformation, screaming as if it were painful while shooting lightning out of his mouth as he transformed into what he truly looked like. I hope for your sake, Vathek, that the key is quickly found, Lord Cedric getting directly face to face with Vathek. Back at the Silver Dragon. Inside the basement, Lin was trying to make Caleb a wardrobe, but he wouldn't stand still and got poked by the needle a few times. Oh, don't be such a grumpy puss, you look really cool. Lin said, taking Caleb's measurements as he was wearing a blue t-shirt with white sleeves and light brown shorts, while Naruto chuckled in the background at his friend's misery. Naruto was going over his parents' sealing notes and so far only learned the basics of making a sealing scroll and was trying to recreate the sealing array for paper bombs. I've lived in tents smaller than this. Why am I wearing enough clothes for a 400 PND clown? Caleb said, slightly hurting Lin's feelings, which he didn't realize as she only showed it for a brief moment, but Naruto saw it and was going to talk to her later to tell her Caleb was just being insensitive, but what surprised him was that she put on a quick smile like she didn't hang on to negative emotions like anger or sadness, which was astounding to Naruto. You're stealin'. Remember, you have to blend in here, she said, trying to encourage him to wear the clothes she made for him. I'm not supposed to be blending in here, I'm supposed to be battling Phobos in Meridian and finding the rightful heir to the throne who's somewhere in this ridiculously dressed world, Caleb said while pulling the front of his newly designed shirt. Oh Caleb, you are one major chunk. Lin said, coming in the basement to check on her granddaughter. It's hunk, grandma, but wait until you see him in his goth outfit, the air guardian said excitingly, pointing at a picture. Oh, Caleb wearing a red t-shirt, black pants, and black boots with red. Naruto looked at the image and wanted to laugh as he didn't have to imagine what he would like in it. Lin did such a fabulous job on the painting, he could just look at it and make fun of Caleb. I can't command a rebellion dressed like a parachute, he said, pulling the hem of the shirt. Ow, he yelled as Lin pricked him on his leg. Oh, sorry, was that your knee? Lin asked while faking an apologetic look towards Caleb. Ugh, where is your little Meridian friend? Lin asked in both curiosity and worry, as she knew there would be panic if the Meridian creature was discovered. His name is Blanc and he's not my friend and you can be sure wherever he is he's up to no good, Caleb said grumpily, not really caring what happened to the Pauling. Somewhere in Meridian a certain Pauling trying to sell old French fries while wearing a BR as a hat sneezed. We should keep a lookout though, if he's still here it could cause a lot of problems if he's found by someone or if he goes back to Meridian with information that could put us all in danger, Naruto said, not really sure what the little green creature would do since he met him only once. Lin nodded as Naruto basically voiced her thoughts, knowing what might happen if Blanc wasn't careful. An hour later. Naruto was walking with Caleb, who looked very grumpy because of the cloths he was wearing, so he suddenly stopped, seeing as they were alone on an empty block, causing Caleb to look confused to why he stopped. Hey, what's up? Why did you stop? Caleb asked curiously as Naruto looked at him with an annoyed expression. Caleb, you should be a little nicer to Lin, Naruto said, not taking his eyes of the rebel leader, who looked confused. What are you talking about? I'm nice to her, Caleb said, not remembering doing something mean to the girl. You were basically insulting her ideas and designs in the cloths she was making for you, which she takes pride in as she likes being creative, Naruto said, basically telling him to watch what he says around Lin or he would do something about it. Then without a word he walked towards the beach as he had practiced with the girls, while leaving Caleb behind to think about what he said. Later at Shell Beach. Naruto had just arrived at Shell Beach and saw the girls in their human form waiting for him. Oh, I wish I was at home, it would be warmer, Terane complained while she held her sides trying to gather up heat until suddenly some bats flew over her, scaring her. Can't you just use your powers to warm you up? Naruto asked, surprising the other girls as he announced his arrival. We can't really use our powers when we're not transformed because they're really weak when we're human, Irma said, really bummed that her powers weren't as strong when she is in guardian form. Naruto thought about it for a second and thought it would be a good to train in human form after the girls learned some more control over their powers in guardian form. As Will said, Guardians unite, and the girls transformed. Lin took to the skies flying like a pro and doing some barrel rolls and other cool tricks. This impressed Naruto and the girls, even though the girls were a bit envious at the Air Guardians' seemingly natural talent at flying. Show off, Irma said, clearly jealous. Naruto was currently trying to help Terane make a fireball, but as she was making it she grew nervous. Naruto, seeing this, tried to help soothe her worries but was too late as she dropped the ball-sized fireball to the ground, creating a small ash cloud that covered the upper part of Terane's body. Irma, wanting to show off her progress, climbed above a big rock and started waving her hands in the air. Oh yeah, top this, I give you Cornelia, she said as water from the ocean began to rise up, forming into Cornelia's head but with a broken nose. Thanks for the nose, Cornelia said, voicing her criticism. Cornelia with a broken nose, Irma said in a sarcastic tone of voice, while everyone besides Cornelia, who looked away pouting, started to clap. Naruto was impressed with her progress as she did good in her training after each attempt at making the water take up an actual form, but still had some room to grow. Not that he was one to talk, since he could only now do low-level water manipulation for attacks and defense. As Irma was basking in their applause, she lost focus of the water and it came crashing down on everyone, along with many crabs, eels, and fish, except Naruto, as he quickly reacted and got to a safe distance. Crabs. Terane yelled in panic as 2 crabs held her ears and a starfish covered her right eye. Late at night at the entrance of the Silver Dragon. Well, that went well, don't you think? Will said, trying to light up the mood. You all did pretty good for practice, maybe you'll be ready for some of my techniques, Naruto said, which got the Guardians excited, as when they saw Naruto do the things he did it made them want nothing more than for him to teach them some of his moves. Oh my gosh! Really? Lin said excitedly as she really wanted to do the things he did with wind. Yeah, you guys keep training the way you do and I have no doubt about it, he said truthfully, which made the girls happy at the acknowledgement of the progress they were making. As they were about to go inside, Terane was shaking, saying something was on the back of her neck. When Naruto saw it was an eel, he quickly pulled it off successfully and luckily throwing it in the sewer. You guys have gotta come in and check out Caleb's new outfits. I made this really cute retro aviator 50s thing and I think if you 5 hold him down dash. Hey Lynn would have finished if her grandmother did come to them looking very worried. Girls, I have some terrible news, she said, her voice matching her look. The eel dash. Naruto covered Hey Lin's mouth knowing she would bring up the eel that Terane had in her cloths. Caleb is gone. I'm afraid he may have returned back to Meridian, she said, closing her eyes, worried for the boy's safety, while the girls just gasped in shock. DMN. Naruto thought, already going to the basement to grab some of his shinobi gear and put on his old clothes along with the new coat Hey Lin made him. When he got there he smelled something terrible. Following the stench of the smell he saw some really small but familiar cloths on a small stool. "Aw man, last time I smelled that my French fries went missing," Irma said, going down the stairs with the other guardians. "Yeah, same thing with my BR, Cornelia said unhappily, as she knew Blunk stole her BR because she recognized his stench and unknowingly causing Naruto to blush and look away. "Blunk," all the girls said in unison. "Why would he come here? Caleb doesn't even like him," Hey Lin said, stating it as if it were a fact. "Nobody likes him, but he's got to go somewhere," Terane said, making a valid point. "Yeah, but if those are his cloths, what's Blunk wearing?" Naruto asked, to no one in particular but caused everyone, even himself, to picture Blunk as TRKNG. "I think I might know where to find the little troll. We'll need to be magic pixies again, sorry guardians," Irma said, joking while still getting used to the title. Will pulled out the crystal, and as C was about to say their battle cry, "I was hoping we wouldn't have to do this again tonight," Terane said, nervously remembering today's practice session. "Forget about it, where we're going there are no base, no eels, no crabs," Irma said as they transformed into their guardian forms once again. After a while of searching, the group located Blunk inside a dumpster in the middle of a dirty alley. "Exactly what do you guys have against dry, well-lit places?" Terane said as she landed in a mysterious puddle of goo. No one responded as they looked at a dumpster, hearing Blunk's voice digging around inside. "Terane, can you give us a light?" Naruto asked, wanting the girl to take more opportunities in using her powers. Terane did as she was asked and made a small fireball to act as a light above the trash, and seconds later Blunk popped out wearing familiar-looking cloths to both Naruto and Hey Lin. Naruto knew he was going to have to talk to Caleb later about this. What is he wearing?" Hey Lin asked, both angry and confused. "Oh sweet, Blunk stealin'," he said, messing with the red cap. "Okay Blunk, we wanna know where the portal is," Naruto asked as politely as possible cause he was very pissed at Caleb. "No portal secret," Blunk said, not wanting to lose his own personal portal. "You showed Caleb where it was," Will said accusingly while she and the other guardians hovered above the dumpster. "He pay with tight treads," he said as he stretched the sleeve. "How do you know where the portals are gonna be anyway?" Irma asked curiously while also sounding demanding. "Blunk always know Blunk a passling can smell," Blunk said while pressing his finger against his nose. Boy, is that an understatement?" Terane said, still not used to his foul odor, while getting Naruto to chuckle. "Smell importers good for smuggling, if Blunk show girls close," he said, still not wanting to lose his portal. "We have to close it or evil oozes through," Will said, not wanting to put the world in danger. "It's like putting the cap on a toothpaste. What am I saying? You've obviously never used toothpaste in your life," she said, making a statement and joke about Blunk's hygiene. "I can't believe you're wearing those clothes," Hey Lin said angrily as she could no longer bottle up her anger. "Blunk got it going on," he said, happy about his latest trade. "Oh no. Blunk got it going off," she said, ready to remove those clothes herself from Blunk. "I made those for Caleb when I find him. He'll wish Phobos found first," the Air Guardian said, fully prepared to unleash her womanly fury upon Caleb, scaring Blunk so much he ran away while also scaring Naruto a little. As the Guardians were about to follow, Naruto stopped them. "Hold on, let's put some distance between us and him. He won't go to the portal if he knows we're behind him," Naruto said, getting the girls to take to the skies while Naruto was running on the rooftops to keep Blunk in their sights. After a while, when he thought he was in the clear, he jumps onto a sewer lid which had a blue crack which turned out to be a portal. Naruto jumped from the roof straight in while the guardians went head first into it, except Terane, who complained a little about all the disgusting things she did today, but to no one in particular. "Why is it always dark here?" Cornelia asked, wondering why this place always seemed so gloomy. "Different time zones, evils 5 hours ahead of us," Irma quipped. Hey Lin, seeing Blunk in the distance, took off in order to get back the cloths she made. "Speaking of cloths, the wings are kinda obvious, don't you think?" Will said, making a valid point, as they would attract the wrong kind of attention. "We'll go into town, see if we can get you guys some cloaks," Naruto said, knowing a thing or two about infiltration. As they stealthily walked through the Dark Kingdom, Naruto saw a well-detailed wanted poster of himself on a nearby wall and ripped it off, reading it as it said he was to be captured and brought back alive and he had a pretty big bounty. And as the other girls saw, they were surprised, as they had seen a wanted poster of Caleb and it said, dead or alive. They wondered why Phobos would want Naruto. "Listen girls, this complicates things. We'll have to split up after I get you all to someone who could sell you some cloaks, because my face might be too well known and it could reveal us too soon since we haven't found Caleb yet," Naruto said, getting the guardians to begrudgingly agree since they needed to remain hidden. And as they made a deal with a shop owner by Terane heating up wet firewood and wet laundry, they got their cloaks. A few minutes after Naruto left the girls, Naruto was jumping from rooftop to rooftop and saw a giant bird in the air that spotted him, so he took out a shuriken and threw it at the bird, killing it and causing the corpse to crash in the forest. And he would have continued his search if he didn't just then spotted Caleb talking to a green-skinned person. Jumping from a 20-foot building, he landed in front of the pair, causing the green person to charge at Naruto. As his instinct was to attack, Naruto quickly grabbed Alden's fist and would have struck if he wasn't stopped by Caleb. "Naruto, wait. This is Alden, he's my best friend." Naruto gave him a look that said we'll talk later, but relented as he wanted to make a good first impression on another rebel. "Hi, I'm Naruto," Naruto said, extending his hand to Alden, who took it with a strong grip. "Alden, pleasure. Those were some impressive moves you had, but are you from Earth?" he asked, not recognizing the blonde style of clothing and thought it was an Earth thing. "Yeah, kinda. Anyway, Caleb, what are you doing here?" Naruto asked, curious even if he was angry at Caleb. "Well, you see, Caleb would have finished if one of 5 cloaked figures didn't crash into him, and as soon as he saw Cornelia's face he knew it was the girls." "What you doing here?" Caleb asked angrily, as he knew they would only complicate things. "Hi, my name is, Alden. Would you like to do a 360 fakey oily with me sometime?" Alden said, trying to flirt with Cornelia with the human terms he just got from Caleb. "What?" Cornelia asked, not knowing what the guy in front of her was talking about. "I don't want you here. I can take care of myself. I wouldn't even be here if he hadn't stolen this key," Caleb said angrily, pulling out an old-fashioned key while Blunk ran in the opposite direction. "Wait, you're telling us this is the stink monkey's fault?" Irma said, looking towards Blunk a little angry he didn't tell them that little bit of information. "What's so important about this key?" Naruto asked curiously as to what story the key held. "When I was in the hole, Vathek gave me this key to unlock my shackles, and now the whole castle is looking for it, and if it isn't found, Vathek will die," Caleb said, willing to put his life on the line for his fellow warrior. Naruto saw this look and recognized it, as he had often had that look, so his eyes landing on a cart full of hay, and had an idea. "So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 2. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story in author's pyrohelixdrago, KFB Anime 87 on fanfiction.net. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.